to doubt you. Always try to astound you. But I'm better.
Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, my friends. Happy Thursday to you. Happy bonus ritual. We were summoning up some sort of vibes, hopefully the best vibes. At the very least, some good vibes. I've got my food here. We're going to be having a conversation with my brother here in a moment, discussing some stuff about game development and the artist's side of that, learning about modeling and how to make use of those 3D models that I'm going to be learning how to make. So let's go ahead and get my brother in here in just a second. We're going to run through everything, make sure that teams points have been counted and addressed, goals have been addressed for the month, because this is the last stream of June, most likely. I don't think I'll be streaming tomorrow. So let me take us through the tower. Let's go over to Toys R Us. Oh, I see the rock is there, so go ahead and turn that off. So here in the goals, the only goal we haven't completed that we've set for the month, aside from a goal that we set pretty early and then we're able to take care of, thanks to the artist we're currently listening to, Lidge, whose entire discography, or at least I believe entire discography, is available on Spotify, who you can also support through Spotify. Don't forget to go do that if you haven't already yet. But to find team points and complete 2 temples were the other goals that we set for the month, and we took care of those. We got teams going now. I do see that we're at 450, which does add up with all of my other math, so we should be caught up there, should be good to go. If you haven't yet picked a team, you can do so quietly, or you can announce it, and you can begin making those conversions and begin just being the best chatter you can be, and you will probably see yourself getting some of those points randomly as time goes forward with helpful comments and such. So, make sure I'm keeping track of everything. Radio Shack, we can go there, because that'll be, yeah, we're going to be watching a video. I got my hand working, so we'll either use this one or a different menu later. And then Guitar Center. Music recommendations for the month before they move on, because come Tuesday I gotta have all new recommendations for you guys. Hopefully a new little doodle to throw down there. I got a couple doodles that I could throw down there, honestly, so I'll probably throw down like an animation test or something, which you can see over on my Twitter. I recently did an animation test that I was very happy with. Slowly teaching myself to animate with 2D assets. Today we're going to be talking about a little bit of animation with 3D assets, so hopefully within the next year or so you guys will be able to watch my journey, just learning all sorts of kinds of animation, modeling, rigging, etc. So fingers crossed it all goes well. Musical recommendations. Do the things. Hello. Friendly reminder, if you're watching this later on YouTube, you can subscribe to the channel, ring the notification bell if you want to know when new videos are coming out. I do appreciate it. We're probably going to make this bit of conversation, game dev journal, if you will, a bit of a series, a bit of a recurring thing as we set goals for it. And while I do have a goal to start a hardcore run, I only have so much time that I get to steal my brother's attention, so hopefully with our schedules lining up, we'll be able to at least make this game dev project a little bit more regular, and it honestly probably a little bit more interesting than a World of Warcraft modded server hardcore game, which will be fun if we do start it, just probably not as fun as learning game development if possible. So let's see. No hard goals for that top category. We don't have that return to it, it's fine. We're doing good. I'm excited. Let's go ahead and get Wheezy in here. Hello. Testing. Is there a brother in here? Oh, hello. How goes it?
Goes.
It goes. Very fair. Are you excited to talk about game development?
I am.
Yeah, this is a bit of a special interest for you, wouldn't you say?
Just a little bit, yeah.
You did. I mean, I don't know how much you want to discuss, but you did a little bit of vocational education for it, as well as some other jobs you've worked are all pretty much tangential to the side of game development that you would like to work in.
Yeah, I did a little bit of vocational school. That's not where I started. I actually started after um, Skyrim came out
Yeah.
in 2011. I don't remember exactly how soon after it was. It was definitely within like the first 6 months of the creation kit being publicly available. I started going on there and I started teaching myself how to program and stuff like that, making Skyrim mods. I was really bad at it, but I kept going and I eventually applied to join a project. It's called Skywind. I was on their coding team for about a year and a half. It's basically a recreation of Morrowind into um, Skyrim's game engine.
Yeah.
But I was taught a lot there. I really improved there. I was basically just working on little dungeon mechanics and stuff like that, and then just doing, I guess, like a bitch work of assigning values to items and all that type of fun stuff. But it was cool.
Yeah.
And then after that is when I ended up going to like the vocational class, where I started working in Unity. Um, and I didn't finish my second year because I hated my teacher.
That's always unfortunate when you have an educator who isn't, the greatest. But it it is what it is sometimes.
And then I joined the military and put this stuff behind for until now, pretty much.
Yeah, but I mean, you did go into a fairly related military field.
I was working on servers.
Yeah, but software and technology. Um, I'm sure, even though you probably didn't code very often, your knowledge of coding and how things needed to work behind the scenes was probably very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I did write a script uh, while I was in the military to make a job easier that I'm not going to talk about what that job was. But
Yeah, fair enough. There's, unfortunately, with your specific field, there's a lot of stuff that you just can't say, but is what it is. That is the
But
security part of what you did. Oh well.
now I am back, and I have had a really bad itch to get working in Unity again.
Yeah. Why Unity in particular? What's the benefit of Unity for somebody trying to learn game development?
Well, there's a lot of resources available for it compared to Unreal, or at least how Unreal used to be. When I first started working in Unity, I also looked into Unreal, and there was just significantly less um, resources for like learning how to use the engine. Um, and it was also partially because it was using C++ instead of C Sharp or Papyrus, which I had been using, which is of those three the most complicated of them, not by too much. But I was just like, meh. Um, the other, I guess, the other big thing is that Unreal Engine is a resource hog. It takes a lot of resources to run it.
Is that just like all the lighting and the texturing and the high fidelity qualities that people kind of associate with Unreal?
I mean, no, just like booting up an empty project on the laptop that I started working on Skyrim mods with. It took my first time boot was like 12 or 13 hours.
Ooh. I thought you were about to say minutes, and I was going to say, wow, that's quite a bit. But then you said hours, and I was like, Oh, oh.
Yeah, when it would take me about 30 seconds to launch Unity. So
Yeah, I mean that will that'll make the difference right there.
now it wouldn't be a problem if I wasn't poor, but
Fair.
um,
Unfortunately.
yeah, I'm still poor. So
Yeah, we got the cornfield spawn point, so.
fun times. But yeah, this I guess like the past, I want to say 24 hours, but it's
Yeah, I
I
mean, roughly a
scheduling.
little over 24 hours, you started talking to me about this and trying to get me interested.
Yeah,
And because of that, I'm now starting a YouTube series. What what can you tell me about this YouTube series? Like, because you sent it to me, so if there's anything you know extra about the people who created it.
Yeah, so I really only know one of the two people that are in the series, but basically, it's two people working together. They created two different playlists. One's tailored towards like the art side of game design, so like 3D modeling and stuff like that, rigging, animating, and the other side is like the programming side of it. And that's done by Rackies, who I used to really learn Unity the first time around.
Gotcha.
But it is this series that are basically two sides of the same coin for creating an RPG.
Okay. So that's going to be our
Um,
first project. I guess we can kind of discuss. Is we are the goal is going to be to create a RPG, if not a couple RPGs.
um, and we don't expect them, like, honestly, like these first few projects are probably not something that we're going to put on out on the market, especially like this first one, unless I really do enough to it um, to really justify me slapping my own name on it. I am kind of following a tutorial and modifying it, so it feels a little bit disingenuous.
Right.
But this is going to be a project for us to, for me to relearn a lot of this stuff, because it's been almost 5 years now since I've worked in Unity, and for Liam to learn the art side of
Yeah.
making video games.
Yeah, I've wanted to learn Blender and 3D modeling and animating for a while, but I always find an excuse not to, or I'll get frustrated with my attempt and just not further it. So this is going to give, kind of like I've been doing here on the stream itself, short-term goals and long-term goals. It basically sets those up for us. So we're going to watch a little bit of a YouTube series. I'm going to watch the intro here and then kind of skim through the main video. Oh, hey, thank you so much. Hope you have a good time at dinner. Thank you for coming in. Always appreciate you. Yeah, we'll watch this intro video real quick and then watch a little bit of the second video, which will be my first milestone, which will be making a very basic character model that will then be rigged, animated, and then sent over to Keegan, where it'll then be imported into the Unity project, and we will start making a game. Goodness, this is wild to me, but I'm excited. Let me go ahead and just do this variation. And can I... Let's go ahead and add browser source. I know you'll be in here. There we are. You're very big, though. Let's scale you down. We don't need Kaiju Rock, Wheezy. Just absolutely taking up the whole stream. Set you over here. Alrighty. So I'm going to watch this intro video to the series real quick. I don't know if you're watching the stream or not, Keeks, but...
Yeah, kind of.
Hello.
I'm also
For this
working
series
on
on
this.
creating a
Yeah,
simple
fair.
role-playing game,
Alright.
I've teamed up with fellow tutorial creator Brackies.
Hello everyone! Making an RPG in Unity might seem like a pretty big challenge. RPGs are often
I just realized I can very faintly hear that my music's still playing, so I'll start this over. Apologize. Oop.
Hello. For this series on creating a simple role-playing game, I've teamed up with fellow tutorial creator Brackies.
Hello everyone! Making an RPG in Unity might seem like a pretty big challenge. RPGs are often both system and content heavy. However, in this series we will try to boil it down to a few key subjects that are central for almost any RPG. And to keep things simple, we've split the videos up into two categories: gameplay and graphics. I'll be handling the gameplay side. Here we'll learn how to create stuff like player and camera movement, interactables and items, an inventory system, equipment, character stats, enemy AI, and combat.
On the graphic side of things, I'll be showing how to model, rig, and animate a simple character in Blender, complete with a basic set of equipment. I'll also be showing how to take these graphical elements and integrate them with the gameplay. So in those integration episodes, we'll be writing code to trigger the correct animations, as well as to interface with Bracky's equipment system to have the equipment graphics actually show up on the character and animate correctly along with him. Now, since some of you may be interested exclusively in the coding side of things, or others perhaps exclusively in the graphics, the series will be split into separate gameplay and graphics playlists. The gameplay playlists will of course contain all of Bracky's coding videos, as well as my videos on integrating the graphics with the code, while the graphics playlist will just contain my Blender videos. The first Blender video will be out in a couple of hours, and the first programming episode should be available on Bracky's channel in just a few days, so be sure to subscribe there if you're not already. Alright, until then, cheers.
Very cool, very cool. So yeah, that basically covers the concept itself. From there, there's 15 videos total in this little playlist that we're going to start with, making a very basic RPG. And then from there, we're going to try to expand on what we learn and try to apply it to some projects of our own. What those projects are going to be is going to be very interesting because it's going to take some learning. And we'll have to figure out exactly what that is. But if you want to go ahead and screen share with me real quick, Keegs, you can show off what you've achieved so far, because you've kind of taken ahead of you've kind of gone off ahead of me and have gotten some stuff done already.
Yeah, let me.
And while you talk about that, I'm gonna turn music back on, kind of quiet, and let you talk about your project a little bit while I snacks. But no worries. Let me watch stream and pop out this little thing. There we go. Bring it right over here. And you can go ahead and talk about exactly what you're doing.
Okay. So it doesn't look like anything super fancy right now, because I don't do any art related stuff for video games. So I'm just using blocks because I don't have models yet. But I have basic camera controls that rotate around the player and let you zoom in and zoom out, and click-based movement. He's really fucking slow right now. Hold up. So, there's that, and then there are objects that I set up to be interactable with. So if we look into the log, it just acknowledges that I interacted with it. However, these are items that can be picked up. So if I go up and right-click them, I will actually go up and pick them up. And as you can see on the side, it does list those items in my inventory right here. Which the inventory is set up to be usable with B or I. There's no graphics for them or anything like that. It's just a really shitty basic UI, but I'm getting there. I can just delete them out of my inventory by clicking the red box, or I can equip the item by clicking on the item itself. So as you can see here, current equipment, it puts it in the slot. The element 0 through 6 correspond to just basically a drop-down menu. An enum, as it's called, is set up. So it's basically will just give you a drop-down choices, and each one has like an index value. So from top to bottom, it goes head, chest, hands, legs, feet, right hand, and left hand. And then I have it set up to where if I click on an item, so that's a full helm where I have a leather cap equipped. If I click on an item on that slot, it swaps them out. So now I have the full helm equipped down here, the leather cap equipped right there, and then you will unequip all items, so everything just goes back in my bag. That's really it so far.
Yeah, but from what you were telling me, this is what, like 300 to 400 lines of code that you've put in so far?
I don't know.
Because at my last time I checked in with you, you said you were at about 300 lines of code.
Yeah, I don't know what it's at right now.
Fair.
It's honestly, I've added on at least another 150 more.
Okay. And whereas we've been kind of discussing this and starting this project for about 24 hours, how many of those hours do you think you actually spent on this project so far?
I've only put about 2 hours of work into this.
Goodness. That I mean, that's kind of cool to think about.
Yeah.
But part of that is because we are currently waiting on me, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, to an extent, as I like. Right now, there's not anything that I've done that necessarily requires 3D assets and stuff like that. Because I just haven't gotten to a point where I would need to put the items on the
Hi, everyone.
physical character or anything like that. They're just, the game knows they're there. That's it. So, but
It is cool though.
it would still be nice to have some visible reference.
Yes, and that's why I'm gonna watch at least a little bit of this video here while I get some food in my belly and we continue to chat some ideas, and I'll probably do some sketches after we watch the first little bit of this and I get a quick bite in. But
In this video, we'll be modeling a very simple low poly character.
Gosh dang it, I keep accidentally hitting play. Don't know how I do that, but all right, so we'll go ahead. We're going to start this character model thing. That's where we're going to start learning some more. Then I will do some sketches to hopefully get a body shape kind of like this one going. And then by this time next week, hopefully I'll have turned in a character model of some kind, and
If you'd like,
Wheezy will have ported it over into his project that we've seen so far. Very exciting. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit play. Jiboop.
Hi everyone, in this video we'll be modeling a very simple low poly character. If you'd like to use the reference images I created, you can download those from the link in the description. Okay, in this new Blender project, I'd like to get rid of the default camera and light, so I'm going to select those both, and then press X and delete. And then I'd like to bring in the reference images, so I'll press N to open up the properties panel, and down at the bottom here we have background images. I'll just fold that out and say add image, and I'm going to open up my front view image, and then I want to add in a second image. Let me just fold this, and this will be the side image. Alright, so we can set the view axis for the front image to be front, and the axis for the side image to be right. So now, as you probably know, we can press 5 on the numpad to toggle between perspective and orthographic view mode, and we have to be in orthographic mode to be able to see the images. So I'll make sure my view is set to orthographic, and then I can just press 1 to view from the front and 3 to view from the side. Okay, just to clean up the interface a little bit, let's press N once again to now close the properties panel, and I'll press T to close the tool shelf. Can then go into front view, and I'm going to select the cube object, press.
All right, so quick pause. This is this bit of art that has been placed on the side and front views is my very, very basic goal for today. Is to just get some sketches drawn up where I can kind of start thinking about the anatomy in a three-dimensional sense, so that when I begin this modeling process, basically following this tutorial, it makes sense to me. So we're going to watch just a little bit more. I'm going to continue to snack, and then we're going to start that sketch.
With Control R, like so, you can right click to make sure that's positioned at the center, and I want to delete the left half of the cube so that I can add in a mirror modifier. So with a box select, we could try select all of these vertices, but be careful, of course, if we're in solid shading mode, because then these back vertices won't be selected. So we should in fact first go into wireframe mode by pressing Z, and then if we do a box select, it will select all of the vertices. We can then press X to delete, and let's just delete all of the faces on this half of the cube. Now I'll head over to the modifiers panel and add in a mirror modifier and just enable clipping so that these central vertices can't get torn apart. Okay, let's select everything with A and just grab this, move it up to the base of the legs, and I'll select just the top vertices and drag these up to the shoulders. I then want to add in a couple of horizontal loop cuts so that we can start defining the shape of the torso. So I'll press Ctrl R and then 3, which while in loop cut mode won't change our view, but rather just add in 3 new loop cuts. We can left click to confirm those, and then right click to just leave them in their default position. And I'll now go into side view and press A to deselect all of those and B to box select just these over here and drag those to about where I think they should be. And then I'll continue this process of pressing A to deselect the currently selected vertices and B to box select the next group. And like so, I'll just go through and position these. Alright, something vaguely like that should be okay. We'll also of course want to line these up from front view, so let's head over there and I'll just grab each of these vertices and drag them in to roughly match the reference. Alright, press Z to go into shaded view. Let's just have a look around. It's looking nice. I want to smooth.
So I've already watched this entire video. I'm going to watch it several times more as I follow this tutorial and continue to try to learn this. If you want to follow along like the tutorial itself, if you want to learn any of this, Sebastian Leg or Log, I'm not entirely sure, but Sebastian here, this tutorial is super in-depth while also being super simple and super like beginner friendly, it feels like. So this is where I'm going to be beginning, and hopefully it's an interesting journey for everybody who's following along. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and set up a very simple little canvas here on Clip Studio. Just something I can very easily start to sketch a nice symmetrical anatomical model real quick, just because that has already proven to be a step that I am behind on. And I'm going to go ahead and try to catch up. So we're gonna get those sketches done. We're going to use this video as reference, following fairly exactly, and hopefully learn how to make a dang game from the more artistic and, you know, modeler animator style or side of things. So we got a side view like that and a front facing view like that. Go ahead and turn my closed captions off so I can see the whole thing. Cool. All right. Play some music and switch over to here. It's a little symmetrical ruler. It's probably going to take a couple attempts because I haven't drawn today, but we'll see how it goes. How are you doing, chat? How is your day going? How are you liking the conversation about game dev? Always like to know what y'all are thinking as the stream goes on. So feel free to chime in and let me know what you think. Let's see. So let's have it. Stop up there. And down here, try to get everything in between. So that is going to make this a pretty exact middle point. Let's go ahead and make a straight line down. Hopefully we can make one that doesn't. Yeah, okay. Ooh. It's kind of hard with a symmetrical ruler on, but it is possible to make one at the wrong angle. Oh, excuse me. And then this entire line just looks wrong. So we'll very quickly, I mean, there's a couple ways we can sketch out and we can decide things like artistic style. When I was in school for studio art, one of the tricks we learned was kind of measuring how many heads there were within a human body in art. And like 7 heads tall was a very standard measurement system that we used for a very like anatomically correct drawing and model. But you can also play with your art style by essentially inverting that and then going in an opposite direction by either making it more heads tall so that you have a character that perhaps looks a little proportionally longer, perhaps a little more inhuman, like old pre-Renaissance art. We have examples of these like divine figures who are like very stretched out, who are almost like 9-10 heads tall, and you can kind of see the disproportionality and how it creates almost caricatures and stylization choices. But yeah, 7.5 is usually the goal for a very grounded, realistic style. And as me and Keegan have kind of discussed ahead of time, that is our general goal. So we're going to look for hopefully obeying that rule loosely. So we'll actually go ahead and start that as a unit of measurement. Go ahead and try to get 7 well-spaced circles down, and then based on that measurement, start to rough in our anatomy. I'm not sure where the 7 heads rule comes from or how ironclad it is. I'm sure there's several artistic styles that like make absolutely no sense when applied to a measurement of heads, but it was just a trick I learned in school, so I hope to share it here with you guys. Because if there's anything an unfinished college degree is good for, it's like literally the education you did complete. Because like most of the social connections and the like day-to-day isn't really gonna affect much going forward, like unless you know you meet the college sweetheart, or you get a job opportunity, you know, directly lined up from college, even if you don't graduate. It kind of feels like an unfinished college degree doesn't do a whole lot. Like, there's the few rare examples, the Bill Gates of the world, but of course, when your family's pretty well off and you're dropping out of, you know, a school to start a project that's worth more money than any college ever will be, yeah, it's a little different, I suppose. I don't know, I'm just rambling. Keegan has snuck off to the bathroom, and I am trying to sketch anatomy in a way that doesn't make me feel like a fool, because doing very basic anatomical models is not one of my strong points, unfortunately. But there are tricks to it. There are little helpful ways to fake it. So we are going to go for that. So that's a little too small based on my circle scale. So we'll go for that. Pull this down. And now we got the start of a head shape. center line, rough eye line, shape out the back of the head, bring the neck down just a little bit. Then we want to think about a torso that's going to be really easy to model. So basically just going to line up some shoulders right above these and create a straight line above here. And then I know the human body has some muscles that go up here. What are these two? I believe. Which ones are the... I can never remember which ones are the traps, which ones are the lats, but it's one of the two. I don't know. I draw them. I don't work on them. I'm not a doctor. I apologize. I need to finish anatomy classes. Let's go ahead and try to bring this in, kind of showing a pec line. We're going kind of for a more generic masculine body shape. And we'll chop this torso off here, because I know at least part of what we're working on. Yeah, so the front view will have these, but the side view we're actually going to start with them just a little unaligned. Yeah, with them kind of removed like this on our side view, just so that we can see the whole side model and model the whole model correctly. So we will do the arms attached, but we'll kind of make note of where exactly they are, so that when we do one sketch over top of the other, they are the same scale, so that my model scale lines up, because that's also important. Alright, so we have a very standard chest shape. We're going to bring just kind of some simple arm lines down on the outside, and then just try to do kind of a neutral, just arms down position. Alright. Those are going to be a little bit thicker, and they're going to be attached by muscles, so there's going to be some natural curves that happen there. We're going to have a little bit of the elbow, and then the forearm, which is a little bit more specifically shaped than the upper arm. I typically tend to actually give it more of like a not a rhombus, no, wait, yeah, rhombus isn't, I don't know, I tend to give it more of this almost like diamond shape, kind of these angles. I'll eventually round out, but when really defining the forearm muscles and when thinking about the two bones that are underneath, it's very easy for me to think of this one as like more of a straight tube, and this one as more of a kind of flared out shape. From there, let's also think about the torso, bring center line down from the face, just to make it a little easier to kind of map everything out. So this is our middle point. We'll go just a tiny bit below that and do the crotch below the waist, where we'll kind of slowly build out the waist until it feels proportional with where we want the ribs. And then we'll kind of just meet the middle ground with the stomach, just because we're doing a very plain, very slim model. I will slowly learn how to model other body shapes, though, because we do not want a million twinks running around in our game. I'm sure that's some weeb's like dream. It's not the intention for the game. We want elves, dwarves, orcs, all the fantasy classics, and that's going to require a little bit more physical diversity. Let's sketch in an ear shape. Just maybe we can add little nubs. We can sculpt in nubs for the ears, but you know, maybe not. We'll see how the modeling process goes, because from part of what I was learning was making it feel really easy, but that could just be me being foolish. Could be entirely not easy at all. Bring these to a center point with a knee, slight bit of kneecap there, roundness, and let's start to think about where these feet are going to land. So they're going to land probably about here, nice right in the middle position, kind of mark in where the toes would go, and start building the shin and foot at the same time, just so that I can hopefully keep things nice and balanced, and at least, if not properly proportional, at least stylized in a way that looks good and intentional. Because now we're going to clean up this sketch, because this is very loose and very not correct. So now that we've done the loose sketch, let's go in and try to fit the skeleton into this so we can see just how wrong it is. So I'm gonna make quite a bit smaller brush and zoom in on this just so I can try to clean it up a bit. Let's go just a nice clear circle up top. And a nice straight eye line, center line, jawline, and a nice little chin, which hopefully we'll be able to sculpt all this out nicely. Let's go ahead, and while I'm doing this, since I can go ahead and make some of my corrections, I'll go ahead and make this just a little bit bigger and then slide it down just a little bit. There we go. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Continue sketching that line. Oh, welcome back, bro. Oop. There it is. Slowly remembering my hotkeys. Let's bring this line up and around so we get a proper cranium shape, because we know that there's a skull in there, and the skull does not stop at the face. No matter how little forehead you like to give your character, you got to give them a little room for forehead. Unfortunately, kind of a requirement. Kind of shape this down. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Bring this line kind of straight down. And then start shaping everything out for these shoulders. These, I believe, traps. I'm gonna go with traps. I believe that's right. And then we'll just very lightly kind of sketch in some details for where some of these lines we're going to create in the geometry are going to be later. Because we're not going to create a super defined character for this first model, but I don't want them to necessarily look like a bunch of noodles, like a bunch of loose tubes glued together. So hopefully, with this tutorial and with some trusting the process, we are able to fully sculpt what I'm seeing here. Are you able to see what I'm currently sketching, Keegan?
Yes.
What do we think of this scale for our first very basic human model? Do we think everything is proportional to a style that we like to work in?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. Then I think we're on the right track, because everything I'm doing here feels replicatable in Blender. But of course I still got to do the side view and kind of more in more detail think about these things, because I've got to take it over to Blender and hopefully make it work. But feeling like this is entirely reasonable from everything I've watched and learned. What is your favorite project you've worked on in Unity historically?
I didn't really work on any like full-on projects in Unity.
Right, but there was some stuff for like Votech, right?
Yeah.
Class projects and the like.
I did make a very shitty and not well thought out RPG system.
Interesting.
That I used the fucking WoW model viewer tool that can rip fucking character models from World of Warcraft that you like customize and stuff like that, and basically
Right.
export them as a 3D model that I imported into Unity with its animations.
I mean, that's pretty cool. What did that altogether kind of result in?
I could cast spells that didn't have visual effects, and yeah, that was it. But I had like all the movement done, the basic attack, the fucking spell casting for a spell, and
What was that spell?
yeah, it was a fireball.
Fireball. Hey, I mean, you got to start somewhere, and I can think of many, many 5th level wizards who started exactly there. That's when their journey really began. Yeah, there was the intro story before that, but the wizard really felt alive. Like they were contributing to the party after that point.
But it wasn't like, it was like a World of Warcraft fireball, not like a D&D fireball.
Yeah, I was just making the joke that it is too easy of a spell to put in any repertoire.
Yeah.
Because it is, I mean, honestly, it's one of the best things fantasy gives us, I think. It's a very silly, like, idea, but it's absolutely true. Like, if humans or mortals of any kind were given magic, one of the essential parts of the kit would just be giant fire. Just make room explode.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it's like right now. That's our main fighting tactic.
Oops. Yeah, you're correct, but anyway. I can touch that. This is one I'm gonna struggle with, is the feet. Because like I hate drawing feet as is, because I can never quite get them consistent.
I never draw feet.
Yeah, modeling feet is gonna be a whole thing.
Easier.
I don't like feet. I really don't.
I know you don't like feet. I think modeling them is actually going to be easier than drawing them.
I hope so.
Because realistically
but
speaking, you
who
don't
knows?
really have to worry too much about the front angle.
Right.
As long as you get that side profile down, it makes the foot.
Yeah,
The front angle just sets the width of them, pretty much.
that is a fair point. And here you are saying you don't understand art.
I didn't say I didn't understand it, I just don't do it.
Oh.
I've tried doing this type of stuff before too,
That's fair.
but I realized I was bad at it, and I stuck
I mean, who
to what
knows? I might prove to be bad at it. You know?
Yeah, but you also have the solution when it comes to getting angry at your work of just taking a break and getting high. So
Hey, don't out me on my stream. Just because you're right doesn't mean everything I do is legal, thank you. And more so, purchased with an employee discount, so sue me.
I mean,
The amount of
didn't
stuff that I
sue
get sent for free is freaking ridiculous. Kind of giving this guy a little bit too much hip, I think. I mean, it's great if we really want to make some like cheeked up characters, but I don't think that's your intention.
maybe one day.
Fair enough. Just some orc or like demon who is just like way too cheeked up. You're like, are we supposed to fight this guy? I'm not. Why's he got all that? That's always my favorite thing, is when people are obsessed with a character for like the incomplete wrong reasons. It's like, yeah, this character's a crazy awesome like villain, super intriguing, super like terrible person. Like when you really like boil down the ethics of all of their villainy, people are like, yeah, they're so freaking cheeked up. It's like, all right. So I really liked the one Borderlands like really early mini boss in Borderlands 3. The freaking Hyperion dude or bandit who's got all the Hyperion gear on, including a dump truck.
Are you talking about Vaughn?
No, the freaking the dump truck boss.
Oh, isn't that like related to the Vaughn situation?
Oh, it might be, but I don't know.
So it's been, I played through it once when it first came out, but I haven't played Borderlands 3 since.
Fair enough. Alright, so we're gonna set this.
I just now realized it's been out for a good few years.
Yeah, it's been out for a while now.
I was in tech school.
Dang. Yeah. That one was really good though. I did really like Borderlands 3 personally. A lot of the same like classic comedy, few like minor adjustments to like character direction, because like, you know, obviously they have to raise the stakes pretty substantially from the previous games, just for it to even be interesting. I don't like some of the characters that die. I don't like the fact that they die in particular. There are some characters that actually kind of hurt my feelings they died, but it's neither here nor there. That's just kind of me being a baby about it.
Well, my favorite character's still alive.
Is it Krieg?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. I can't even play. Hey, absolutely not. Not if you're gonna hang out. Not if you're gonna hang out, dude. You know the rules. Krieg's great. I can't blame you for liking Krieg. He's a really fun character, consistently. He's a little out there, but I mean, I think that's kind of part of the fun. Alright, trying to sketch this out correctly so that maybe okay, turn those sketches off, more or less. Okay, so now I just gotta sketch that out at a side view. So let's try to get the waist roughly where the arm is going to connect, at the spot where the neck comes up and connects to the head, which we've kind of sketched here. Let's talk about a little bit of a face profile. Create that same dome shape for the head that we created last time, so that everything breaks down to a nice even circle for later, so that I can match up my scale, hopefully. Let's turn this on. Yeah, it just needs a little bit taller. Also, part of this is guesswork. There's a chance I get this wrong, and I have to redraw this to correctly model it in Blender. But that's the process, baby. Sometimes we fail. So let's think about that same line. Yeah, we created on the top of the chest earlier. But now it's going to be shaped a little bit differently because it's going to be chest basically coming forward. And then it's going to angle forward a little bit, and then it's going to angle down a little bit. Not that extreme, but it is going to slope down. And then it's going to slight in for the stomach, slight over for the crotch there, slight roundness for the thigh. Make note of the knee going forward because we're facing this direction. And then we'll sketch out the foot, hopefully lining up roughly to the same scale, one way versus another. Hopefully. Put out the heel, slight forward for the shin, slight back. Shin is fairly straight, but then the calf actually tends to have more of a shape that we can kind of work with. Talk about the toes a little bit, slight arch to the foot, slight more pronounced to the heel, and then just try to smooth all this out so it's a little bit more reasonable anatomy. We kind of did everything in extremes so that it reads super clearly. Go just a little bit further back and then indent for the back. Add just a little bit of booty. We're not going crazy yet. And then curve this in. So ideally, all of this slowly getting smoothed out. This will be what I need. Remake where that arm connects. Kind of mark out some important points, so like the bottom of the pec here. Maybe where the hip bone's going to protrude a little bit. Alright, and then we'll put that at like 75. Black, smaller, and just like we did before, just a rough sketch. And then real quick, we will sketch the arm, like this guy has here, disconnected and measured to roughly the same length that we've already drawn. Let's actually go ahead and do that now, just real quick. Pump this back up to 40, figure out where that arm lines up, and then just draw it slightly sideways. So we're going to bring this back, slight socket for the top of the shoulder, let's make it a little lower. Elbow point, wrist point, and then this is going to be, I'm going to make this a little bit more dramatic so it's a more obvious side view. Now let's just lightly sketch that arm around that. Hand, thumb, fingers, forearm, those kind of hard edge shapes I talked about earlier. A little bit more definition for the thumb because it'll be a little heavier. The way that the actual shoulder wraps around, top of the shoulder will kind of connect on the back side a little bit. Biceps and triceps. Followed by just a little bit more elbow, a little bit more shaping. Turn that sketch off. Not that one, this one. Yeah, that lines up pretty well. So, go in. And basically doing the same thing we did before. Drawing a half circle around here to figure out roughly where that face is going to be, and we'll just slowly try to get this symmetrical. We'll flip it a couple times just to be safe. And then this is going to be the slight rounding of the front of the face. Sloping for the jaw. Let's bring it up a bit harsher. Flip it. Booyah. Flipping it's also helpful for making sure it looks nice and even. So we'll do that while we're back eye line, front eye line. That's just a little high, so let's bring it down. It's a bit better. Kind of shape the neck, top of the back. It goes into the shoulder blades and shoulders, which tuck into here. Kind of slipped on that line. Let's just restart. Get it all in a nice even flow. There we go. Slight unsteadiness, but better. Bit of back calf, back thigh, and then calf. Because we want to pronounce that a little bit more. Just so that it's a bit more clear that that's the back of the leg. And hopefully this all translates when we try to take it over into a 3D program. Hopefully. Slight slope, slight slope. There we go. Kneecap. Slight pronounce. Bring this down. And now let's try to do the front. So we'll do just some slight neck shapes. We don't want any of this geometry to get too intense either, because too many little folds and vertices and things like that will eventually start to make a little too chunky of a game. You ever done that, Wheeze?
No.
No?
I mean, like, the Skywind project was pretty fucking large, but there was also, like, hundreds of people working on it.
Right. There was, I mean, a near, like, professional level of work going on there.
Yeah.
Have you checked on the Skywind project in any amount of time?
I did before, sometime before I left the military.
Mm. And how was it last looking?
Not
Paused
done,
or?
surprisingly. But looks like there's a gameplay demo that they released not too long ago.
Hmm. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it just says that their release date is currently private.
Gotcha, gotcha.
Oh.
Try to rope in some of these shapes, bring them back into more realistic lines. So we started to get just a little cartoony with it.
And an ad break.
Oh, goodness. I don't keep super tight track of when my ad breaks run, so I apologize to anybody who does experience ads. But to those of you who are subscribed or have been gifted a sub, thank you, thank you, thank you for the support. It really helps encourage me in trying to take on more of the affiliate goals provided by Twitch and things like that, so that I can get even more emotes and even more benefits for subscribers and returning chatters going. So appreciate you.
Yo, I got the DJ Khaled ad.
Oh goodness. Was it at least entertaining, or was it?
Jones? I have no idea. My sound's off.
Ah, gotcha. Do you have your sound off while you're watching me? Because you're in Discord, or?
Yeah.
Gotcha. As well as, yeah, you'd be hearing yourself.
Yeah, that's...
Gotcha. Makes sense. I wasn't sure how you were running. I wasn't sure if you had me, like, muted on Discord and were listening through Twitch or whatever, but that makes more sense. That you're just lightly watching through Twitch. So this is roughly what we needed to start, right?
Yep. And now you export those images,
I'll export
And
these
you-
as a JPEG.
plug them into Blender.
And we will get to modeling. But I will take care of that. I will do that. Let me save this. I'll even create a new file or a new folder. So this is going to be Project RPG. And we are going to call this Model Test 1. And now that that's saved, this is going to be a project I come back to. I will try to 3D model over this weekend, get to Keegan, and by Thursday of next week, we will have, hopefully, some working models to show off. Very cool, very cool. All right, switch back over to chat cam for just a minute. Friendly reminder, if you're watching this on YouTube later, in the very start of this new playlist, this Game Dev Journal Project RPG that me and little Wheezy Rock right here are starting, thank you. I appreciate you watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Ring the notification bell if you want to know when new videos come out, yada yada yada. You've heard the YouTube stuff before, and I'm tired of saying it. Let us move on to some games. Yeah, like golf clap, golf clap.